kids with dreams and no sense of reality and survived, and we're here. Those are the kind of moments in a life that you just don't get over.
So without any further ado, enjoy the show.
Thank you.
I always get a little nervous when you have to show a film here because in many ways it's like bringing something home to the family.
Yeah, it's shot in Toronto, but you're trying to make it look like New York. I said, yeah, that's great. You know, that's not bad. Because the city's like an actor.
Premiering a movie that took me 20 years to make in front of 2,000 people makes me want to cry.
I mean, there was a time that I can remember when people said, well, film will die. It hasn't and it won't, and it's great.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the kickoff of the 40th Toronto International Film Festival.
He's Piers Handling. I'm Cameron Bailey, Artistic Director of the Toronto International Film Festival. Special hello to everybody tuning in via our YouTube live stream. This is, I think, officially the hottest day of the summer, so I'm sorry to remind you that summer is almost over. But wait till you hear what we have in store for you in September. Let's get started.
So 40 years, amazing, 1976. And this, believe it or not, was the very first film schedule of the festival. I drove down from Ottawa. It was called the Festival of Festivals in those days, and the dates were October 18th to 24th. We got a nice little piece here, George Anthony, a lot of film. 6 big parties. So you could tell right away. We ran about 80 films in those days, 5 cinemas. Now, of course, about 360, 350 films. Well over 25 cinemas we're using. Amazing programs. You could get an I Want It All, a laissez-passer to the festival for $50. There was a Festival of Festivals pass, which for $6 got you into 3 daytime shows and seminars. But the festival in those days was really extraordinary because of the roots, because of what actually was contained in it. And I think the roots of this festival right now are all here, actually. You had a new German cinema program, which is the reason I came down, actually. It was a phenomenal retrospective, Wim Wenders, Schlöndorff, Herzog, Fassbinder. Program of women's films, Women's Scene. A program called New Films, New Directors. Another one called See It Again, Sam, which was hand-colored prints of 6 of the great silent classics. And then a bunch of seminars, a film craft seminar, and a producers conference. 1976 was a big leap of faith. There were no other film festivals in Canada at that point in time. There'd been a film festival in Montreal in the 60s. It didn't exist at this point in time. So the people that founded this were, as I said, a big, big leap of faith. There was no other film festival in Canada. They'd been to Cannes, they came back. 3 people who are here with us today, 2 of whom are here with us today, true visionaries. I'm sure they had no idea what this organization would actually turn into. And here we are 40 years later, celebrating the 40th anniversary of one of the largest film festivals in the world, now with its own infrastructure, running films every single day of the year. There's only 2 other film festivals in the world that have infrastructure like us, that are running regular programming apart from their film festivals, London and Busan. So we've come in an extraordinarily long way, and I think it's due to the vision of Bill and Hank, Bill Marshall and Hank Van der Kook, and they're here with us today. So Bill and Hank, can you stand and just we acknowledge your amazing contribution. You're right down here. So thank you for this, and now of course our schedule is about 80 pages. Now it's clear that none of this would be possible without the boundless support of some other key people as well. So please allow us to start things off with some very important thank yous. Now, the lifeblood of TIFF is our passionate and dedicated staff and volunteers, including our board of directors, led by our board chair, Lisa DeWild. Thank you to the dynamic and unbelievably enthusiastic teams who work tirelessly to pull together the festival and run TIFF Bell Lightbox year-round. And a special thank you to the thousands of former staff and volunteers who have helped to build this organization. We would also like to thank our members and donors. We are very grateful for your support.
Big thank you also to our sponsors and partners for their continued support of our initiatives, which happen 365 days a year. Our lead sponsor, Bell, our major sponsors, RBC, L'Oréal Paris, and Visa. Our major supporters, the Government of Ontario, Telefilm Canada, and the City of Toronto. And our major industry supporters, the Ontario Media Development Corporation and Telefilm Canada. We would also like to thank all the filmmakers, the sales agents, and distributors for sharing their films with our festival audiences. And we're truly lucky to have an incredibly talented international team of programmers who surprise us every year with the gems that they bring from around the world. We'd like to thank our Executive Director and COO, Michelle Mayhew, our Director of Festival Programming, Carrie Craddock, Jason Anderson, Brad Dean, Dimitri Epides, Giovanna Fulvi, Colin Geddes, Dennis Goulet, Steve Gravestock, Michael Lerman, Kathleen McInnes, Elizabeth Muscala, Andrea Picard, Tom Powers, Rasha Salty, Diana Sanchez, Jane Shuttle, Magali Simar, Shane Smith, and Jesse Wente, 22 people who have the burden of the entire year's production of film on their shoulders and trying to pick the best for you.
A 40-year legacy started with one spark of genius. As you'll see behind us, this year's festival creative campaign focuses on just that, defining moments. Explosive moments that open your eyes, hearts, and minds and somehow change you. We wish you all a festival full of these unexpected yet significant flashes of inspiration. We will be taking the opportunity in September and throughout the year to celebrate our 40 years. At our birthday party in David Picot Square a few weeks ago, we announced some of the TIFF 40 activities we're presenting to thank our audiences for their support and passion. We will offer special screenings, including iconic films from the festival's past, as well as a free screening of Hitchcock's Vertigo, with live performance by the Toronto Symphony Orchestra on the final day of the festival. We are also presenting a fan art exhibition and many, many other ways to say thank you. Over the course of the festival, we will be sharing TIFF 40 Moments, a series of 10 short vignettes that were created in-house by our digital media team, each speaking thematically to the transformative nature of the moving image. And here's a little sneak peek.
Well, thank you for showing me your new apartment. I'm worried about you. I mean, how can you live like that?
I draw a lot of power from the city. My roots are very deep, and they go very deep, and I get a lot of nutrient from it. So the city's like an actor, a great actor, a character actor who can play many, many roles.
As I look out at our media friends in the room here today, I see many, many familiar faces. Some of you have been covering the festival for decades. You're very, very close friends. We thank you all for being here with us today and look forward to celebrating with you in September.
All right, you came here to find out about movies, right? Here we go. Let's turn our attention to this year's lineup. We're thrilled to be presenting the following titles in the Special Presentations program. Duke Johnson and Charlie Kaufman's Anomalisa. Cary Fukunaga's Beasts of No Nation, starring Idris Elba. Scott Cooper's Black Mass, starring Johnny Depp, Joel Edgerton, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Joel Crowley's Brooklyn, starring Saoirse Ronan. Pablo Larraín's The Club. Florian Gallenberger's Colonia, starring Emma Watson, Daniel Bruhl, and Michael Nyqvist.
Tom Hooper's The Danish Girl, starring Eddie Redmayne, Alicia Vikander, and Matthias Schoenaerts. Simon Stone's The Daughter, starring Jeffrey Rush. Jonas Cuarón's Desierto, starring Gael Garcia Bernal. Jacques Audiard's Dipan. Jean-Paul Rappeneau's Belle Famille. Jason Bateman's The Family Thang, starring Nicole Kidman, Jason Bateman, and Christopher Walken. Meghna Gulzar's Guilty, starring Irfan Khan.
Adam Salki's I Smile Back, starring Sarah Silverman, Hani Abu Assad's The Idol, Nicholas Heitner's The Lady in the Van, starring Dame Maggie Smith, Tim Godsall's Len and Company, Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster, starring Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, and John C. Reilly, Joachim Trier's Louder Than Bombs, starring Isabelle Huppert, Gabriel Byrne, and Jesse Eisenberg, Rebecca Miller's Maggie's Plan, starring Julianne Moore, Ethan Hawke, and Greta Gerwig,
Zhai Ke's Mountains May Depart, Johnny To's Office, starring Chow Yun-fat, Lena Yadov's Parched, Lenny Abramson's Room, starring Brie Larson, Denis Villeneuve's Sicario, starring Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin, Laszlo Nemes' Son of Saul, Tom McCarthy's Spotlight, starring Rachel McAdams, Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, and Liev Schreiber,
Catherine Corsini's La Belle Saison, or Summertime, Terrence Davies' Sunset Song, Jay Roach's Trumbo, starring Bryan Cranston, Helen Mirren, and Louis C.K., Claude Lelouch's 1+1, starring Jean Dujardin, Sebastian Schipper's Victoria, Michael Moore's Where to Invade Next. You're gonna like this one. And Paolo Sorrentino's Youth, starring Michael Caine, Harvey Keitel, and Jane Fonda. Here's a sneak peek at some of our special presentations.
State Department is pulling an agent that specializes in responding to escalated cartel activity.
Have you been to Juarez before?
You're not American. No. Who do you work for now?
Oh, I go where I'm sent.
Get your weapon out. Every day across that border, people are kidnapped or killed.
I'm not a soldier. This is not what I do.
I just want to know what I'm getting into.
You saw things you shouldn't have seen.
I'm going to tell everyone what you did.
That would be a major mistake.
Bon, tu me reconnais quand même? J'ai pas grossi à ce point.
Vous êtes le fils du docteur Varenne?
Je peux vous appeler Jérôme?
On se connaît. Tu te souviens de moi quand même?
Vous êtes de retour?
Oh là là, ça me fait quelque chose. C'est pas par là.
À quoi tu joues là? Qu'est-ce que tu cherches? Tu dis que tu pars jamais?
Je vous ai dit, je vais à Londres.
On y va là, we are going. Vous ne partez plus?
Là, il faut que j'aille à Londres.
Vous avez 5 minutes, non? Il faut qu'il parte.
Vous n'allez plus à Londres alors?
Si.
Allez, partez, sauvez-vous.
Oh, enfin, plus tard, il y a un changement.
Évidemment, t'es en Chine, tu t'en fous.
Vas-y, pars tout de suite.
J'y serai demain, là, je rentre à Paris.
Ah, vous direz que c'est de ma faute.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux?
Vous n'aurez pas vu votre maison?
Il peut pas, vous le savez bien.
Pourquoi tu fouines comme ça?
Moi, je peux.
Et comment?
Ah, je peux.
Elle est où? Louise, elle est où?
On y va?
Step over this way, please. Get out of the line. Next. Passport, please. Welcome to the United States, ma'am.
Dear Rose, I miss you and Mother and think about you every day. The most important news is that I have a job and I'm in a boarding house.
I was glad to see you finally got some letters from home today.
I wish that I could stop feeling that I want to be an Irish girl in Ireland.
Homesickness is like most sicknesses. It will pass.
Would you dance with me?
I'm not Irish.
So what were you doing at an Irish dance?
I really like Irish girls.
I met somebody, an Italian fella. We're going to Coney Island at the weekend.
But do you have a bathing costume?
Why didn't you tell me to put my costume on underneath my clothes?
I thought you'd know. I want to ask you something, and you're gonna say, oh, it's too soon. Will you come for dinner and meet my family?
I'd love to.
You like Italian food?
I'm going to say splash anytime I see problems.
Good idea.
Splash! You just splashed his mother, his father, and the walls.
Let's go again.
Ready?
I should say that we don't like Irish people.
Hey.
What? We don't. That is a well-known fact.
It was sudden.
When will they bury her?
You want to go home, I guess.
How would it be for you if I did go home?
I'd be afraid.
Afraid that I wouldn't come back.
Home is home.
Ireland must seem very backward to you now.
Is that Jim Farrell I saw? He's a catch for someone.
I have a life halfway across the sea.
Your life here could be just as good.
If you go back, I have nobody.
I want you to stay here with me.
Home is home.
And now for some gala announcements. Roy Thompson Hall is where they'll be hosted. Deepa Meda's Biba Boys, starring Randeep Huda, Ali Momin, and Sarah Allen. And Deepa and some members of her cast are in the audience today. Welcome, Deepa. Back again, one more time. Jocelyn Morehouse's The Dressmaker, starring Kate Winslet, Hugo Weaving, and Liam Hemsworth. Gavin Hood's Eye in the Sky, starring Aaron Paul and Helen Mirren. John Cassar's Forsaken, starring Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland, and Demi Moore. Peter Sollitt's Freeheld, starring Julian Moore, Ellen Page, and Steve Carell. Paul Gross's Hyena Road, starring Racif Sutherland. Julie Delpy's Lolo, starring Julie Delpy and Karen Viard. Brian Hegelin's Legend, starring Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy.
Matt Brown's The Man Who Knew Infinity, starring Jeremy Irons and Dev Patel. Ridley Scott's The Martian, starring Matt Damon, Jessica Chastain, and Kate Mara. Stephen Frears' The Program, starring Ben Foster and Dustin Hoffman. Adam Agoyan's Remember, starring Christopher Plummer. Wayne Blair's Septembers of Shiraz, starring Salma Hayek and Adrian Brody. And Roland Emmerich's Stonewall. Here's a look at some of our gala films.
Inside each and every one of us is something more potent, more powerful than any drug. It's called the will to survive.
What does it take for you to race?
I just love to ride my bike.
No longer confined to Earth, now we had learned to fly.
He's a man transformed. He's recovered from cancer. I'm turned into bloody Superman.
Why are you so obsessed with this?
Why are you not obsessed with this? He wins and wins and he celebrates. He meets the president. He gets more sponsors, more money, more fame. The man is a cheat.
I am the most tested athlete on the face of the planet. I have never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
He is transforming your little Eurosport into a globally significant brand.
If he's cheating in the races, then he's cheating on us as well.
I will not be brought down.
We're all on the program.
I didn't sign up for this.
He will attack anyone who steps out of line.
I have the money and the power to destroy you.
I've never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
It's called a kirpan. Means mercy, compassion, justice. None of which you are gonna see today.
G. Chahar and his Biba boys have blazed a trail across the city. A trail of drugs, a trail of blood.
You know what our sons do, Jeet. You shoot with guns. And I don't like it.
There's this geriatric grey wall sitting on the throne. What am I supposed to do?
Grey wall, G. One of your trucks that just crossed the border? We took a shine to its merchandise.
He started to annoy me.
Dad wants Jeet's head on a platter.
You angling to be a Biba boy, eh?
If you want to be king in this world, you gotta take the offensive.
You know what Jeet and sweet boys do?
I didn't have to be doing this. I could have been a doctor or something. Who bought this for me? Did you bought this? Your mom did, as a present for me.
I'm gonna tell you who the Biba rat is.
You think I don't know?
You know you don't have to jump just because he says to.
Say a word and I'll blow your brains out.
I beg you. 3 words. I'll plug her. Bam.
Hey, can I have your number? Hello? It's Stacy from volleyball. Listen, I can't talk right now.
Hey, go right ahead. Just your run-of-the-mill double homicide investigation.
Shut up. Can I call you later?
You got a date?
Yeah, I do. If you could have anything, what would it be? What's your dream?
A house, a dog, a woman I love, loves me.
Me too.
Give me a second here. This domestic partnership thing is new.
Kind of like the idea of you as a kept woman. What's the matter? I think you pulled a muscle. Well, you get it checked out? Yeah.
My name is Detective Laurel Hester. I've worked for the Ocean County Police Department for 23 years. Recently, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. When my heterosexual colleagues die, their pensions go to their spouses. But because my partner is a woman, I don't get to do that. In my career, I've never asked for special treatment. I'm only asking for equality.
We anguish over this situation, but we have to deny your request.
This is an outrageous miscarriage of justice. Their next meeting, we show up with 100 protesters.
Radicals and strangers from New York aren't going to convince these guys.
I am not a radical. I am a middle-class Jewish homosexual from New Jersey. How about you, sweetheart?
I'm a straight, white, ex-Protestant, atheist cop. You okay with that, sweetheart?
I am. That is very hot.
I'm worried about Stacy. She's had so much to deal with. You know, she's so young.
I love you.
It's not fair.
No, it isn't.
I know you feel like.
I want to tell you about our house. Just really like to hold on to it. Remember how much we love each other.
If they say yes, then my tax dollars go to her girlfriend.
Yeah, the same way your wife gets your pension if you die.
Yeah, but she's my wife.
Hell, if you and I got married tomorrow, I'd be entitled to your benefits.
Is that a proposal?
Oh, my God.
We are sticking to a losing position because of some personal beliefs.
It's an opportunity to change the world.
The only thing I care about is justice for the woman that I love.
Every human being has a basic instinct to help each other out. If a hiker gets lost in the mountains, people coordinate a search. If an earthquake levels the city, people all over the world send emergency supplies. This instinct is found in every culture, without exception.
At around 4:30 a.m., our satellites detected a storm approaching the Ares 3 mission site on Mars. The storm had escalated to severe, and we had no choice but to abort the mission. But during the evacuation, astronaut Mark Watney was killed.
I'm entering this log for the record. This is Mark Watney, and I'm still alive, obviously. I have no way to contact NASA or my crewmates, but even if I could, it would take 4 years, for another manned mission to reach me, and I'm in a hab designed to last 31 days. So, in the face of overwhelming odds, I'm left with only one option. I'm gonna have to science the hell out of this. Okay, let's do the math. I gotta figure out how to grow 4 years worth of food here, on a planet where nothing grows. But if I can't figure out a way to make contact with NASA, none of this matters anyway.
Houston, be advised.
We've got a video message. It's directed to the whole crew. Play it.
Mein Gott. Mark Watley's still alive.
Woo! In your face, Neil Armstrong.
We left him behind. Let's go get our boy.
This is something NASA rejected, so we're talking mutiny. And if we mess up the supply rendezvous, we die. If we mess up the Earth gravity assist, we die.
It's space. It doesn't cooperate. I guarantee you that at some point, everything's gonna go south on you. And you're gonna say, this is it. This is how I end.
Is it possible that he's still alive?
What do you think?
So to add to these spectacular announcements, we're absolutely delighted to announce our opening night film for the 40th Toronto International Film Festival. It's by Canadian filmmaker Jean-Marc Vallée, Demolition, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Naomi Watts, Chris Cooper, and Judah Lewis. In Vallée's latest film, Gyllenhaal plays an investment banker who deals with loss in unexpected ways after his wife's untimely death. We've been thrilled to welcome Jean-Marc to the festival for many, many years. From Crazy, his first film, to Dallas Buyers Club, from Café de Flore to Wild, and we closed the festival in 2009 with Young Victoria. He's an important, powerful voice in filmmaking, and we can't wait to share this latest film from him with you, Toronto audiences.
There you have it. That is our first announcement, first of many, of titles for the 2015 festival. We are thrilled to be kicking it off with a new film from Jean-Marc Vallée, kicking off our 40th festival with a Canadian filmmaker. You're going to love this lineup. Very exciting group of films. So happy to have people like Michael Moore back and all of the rest of the filmmakers in the lineup. So we hope that you enjoy what you see at the festival this year.
So thank you all for coming. We're now going to, we're pleased to take questions from you guys, members of the media and others. There's going to be a mic passed around, so please wait until the mic gets to you and then identify the outlet that you are representing, and we're happy to answer your questions.
Do you want to see the trailers again?
See a movie. Are there any questions? I don't see.
Hi,
right.
York Region Media Group. Just wanted to find out personally from you two, what are you two most excited to see at this year's festival?
At this festival? Okay, I'll be. Okay, this is a tough question. I'm most excited to see Hitchcock's Vertigo with the TSO. How's that for a safe answer?
Wow, that is
it's
good.
an amazing film. It's voted the #1 film of all time in the most recent Sight and Sound poll. It finally replaced Citizen Kane, which I think had been on it for about the last 40 or 50 years. We're doing it live with the TSO, the Bernard Herrmann score, which is phenomenal, one of the classics of cinema. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So I'm going to actually be there. It's a free screening on the final Sunday of the festival. So that's, and of course, there's so many other films that Cameron and I, we love them all.
What he said. Look, it's a terrific lineup. It's impossible to choose one film over the other. We've spent many, many months with our programming team looking at films and coming up with what we think is the strongest lineup. We love all these films. We're thrilled that there's a very strong Canadian presence in the gala section, and there's many more Canadian films to be announced. We have Deepa Mehta and her team from Biba Boys here today, so we're especially proud, as always, of the Canadian selection. Over here.
Hi there, it's Ashley Rowe with CTV News. Last year, shutting down King Street seemed to be a big success for festival goers and also people who weren't necessarily able to see the films but wanted to take in the action. Is that going to be happening again this year?
It is. I think so. I think we're appearing in front of the TVC tomorrow. But the mayor has been very, very supportive of this. It worked really well last year. So I think we'll be closing it off Thursday to Sunday night as well, doing a whole bunch of activations, free programming on the street, which will be very exciting. More announcements to come. But yes, we will be doing that this year.
Thank you.
Oh. Someone in the front row, the question?
Congratulations on the 40th year of the film festival, Guneet from Filmy Cafe. Was there anything specific that you kept in mind while programming this year's festival, given that it's 40 big years of TIFF?
For us, I think the main thing was the audience. We always wanted our 40th anniversary to be a celebration of the Toronto audience. This is the audience that made this festival what it is. It made this institution what it's become over the last 4 decades. And we wanted to celebrate that excitement, that enthusiasm, the knowledge that the Toronto audience has. Filmmakers from all over the world come here to show their films in front of that audience specifically. So that's what we wanted to do, was kind of give back and thank the audience here in Toronto.
We also, in our 40th anniversary, wanted to look forward to the future. So we've started 2 new programs, first time in a few years actually. One Primetime, which is dedicated to long-form television, and the other one called Platform, which is a juried section of the festival. We'll be giving 1 prize. We just announced the jury members a few days ago. So I think your 40th anniversary, there's a tendency to look backwards, and as Cameron said, it's all about the public. The public have made this festival what it is, this organization what it is. But I think we also wanted to actually project into the future and be sensitive to new trends. I think obviously there's a marketplace that's changing. Television in particular, long-form TV, is becoming extremely important. A lot of the great creative artists and many filmmakers actually who were showing at the festival are beginning to work in this format. And the juried section of the festival, I think, was just designed to put a spotlight on international auteur cinema that tends to, it's finding it difficult to make its way in the marketplace in North America these days. So we wanted to make sure there was a space and an extra spotlight we were putting on those filmmakers.
Hi, Solarina with Reuters. Last year you tightened the schedule during the first 4 days for true world premieres only. Just wondering if that's still going to be the case this year, or if there'll be tweaks to that format.
We've been consulting with filmmakers and film companies over the last several months after last year's festival, trying to make sure that we had a policy that was going to work for them and work for our audience as well. We've come up with what we think is the best approach, and everyone that we've talked to in the film community has been happy with it, so we are full steam ahead for this year. There's someone over here.
Hi. Can you clarify that approach then? What's been tweaked?
Do you play baseball? Have you heard of inside baseball? That's essentially it. These are minor things that are really kind of film industry technical things, so they're not really going to be that relevant, I think, for a general audience. Yeah, you see, it's hard even to explain. We have worked out, as I said, with the film companies and the filmmakers that we've been dealing with, a plan that's going to work for them to give them maximum flexibility to the films that we want to make sure have the opportunity to play at our festival and other places if they choose to, while also retaining, I think, the excitement of the first half of the festival.
Hi, Justine from News Talk 1010. Sort
Where
of
are
right
you,
in the
Justine?
same spot right
Thank
behind
you.
there.
Okay.
Given that it's the 40th anniversary, I'm sure both of you have thought about this a little bit. What are your personal defining moments or favorite moments from previous festivals?
God, so many. I get asked that question a lot. The first festival was an amazing experience for me, to be honest. I drove down from Ottawa, I was here for 5 days. You could just feel right away the energy of the city. It was an exciting event, and you had a sense that Bill and Hank and Dusty were onto something. It was actually going to work. That was an unforgettable year for me. I think my long-term association with so many Canadian filmmakers, Deepa, Adam, David, Patricia, Peter Mettler, Bruce McDonald, to actually walk hand in hand with that group of filmmakers over, for me, about a 32-year period has been an extraordinary part of my career. And it's been very, very rewarding, actually, to provide a platform for those filmmakers and to have seen those filmmakers really grow into the international filmmakers that they have become. I mean, Deepa being nominated for an Academy Award, Jean-Marc and Denis Villeneuve making films in America, and obviously turned into true international filmmakers. David and Adam, their films are lauded around the world. So I think, to be honest, that has been the most rewarding thing for me as the person running this festival for many years.
As with Piers, I think there are many, many moments. One thing that is just front of mind right now, because it's the 20th anniversary, is 20 years ago in 1995, we started a program called Planet Africa. That came about because Piers and I took a trip in 1991 to Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, to a big Pan-African film festival there. And it was even hotter than it is today, believe it or not, when we landed. But we really immersed ourselves in African cinema. We committed to highlighting that at the festival. And over 10 years, we showed a selection of films from Africa and the African diaspora that I think really changed the way this city approaches that kind of filmmaking. So then to see that evolve into things like, us presenting Steve McQueen's new film, 12 Years a Slave, a couple of years ago, and the success that had, that's a really proud moment, and I think something that was helped along by the kind of critical mass of debate around African cinema that came from the Planet Africa program.
How's this for a story? One of my most memorable moments, I can never, ever forget it, was a filmmaker stripping off stark naked as he did the introduction to his film. I couldn't believe it. Adam McGowan was in the audience. He wasn't the filmmaker, obviously. But it was like a surrealistic dream, and I always wondered whether I had imagined this story, but Adam absolutely confirmed it. It was in the Cumberlands, and I was a pretty young programmer in those days. I remember the name of the filmmaker, but I won't tell you who he was. I thought he might actually stop at a certain point in time. I had no idea he was going to actually take everything off. And it was sort of strange because there was a spotlight on him. I was actually outside of the spotlight. And he took it all off, and then his clothes were there. And there was no statement at the end. I was actually waiting for something to happen, like performance art. And he kind of picked the clothes up and walked down the audience, stark naked. That was one of the most memorable moments I've ever had at the festival.
See, now you got us started. Is there another one?
Hello,
yes.
I'm Becky from Epoch Times. Could you talk about the Asian Film Summit and what's new this year?
Sure. We'll be making more announcements coming up, so though we haven't announced any of the programming for that yet. But the Asian Film Summit is a part of our industry programming. We run 7 days during the festival at the Glenn Gould Theatre. We have hundreds of speakers. Last year, I think we had over 200 people speaking. The Asian Film Summit will be 1 day during that, and I can't reveal any of the details of it right now, but there will be more news to come. One more question? Over here.
Hi, I'm JP with the French CBC. If Pierce, you could answer in French, that would be very appreciated since we're talking about the Asian
Live
films.
on camera, my God, you're putting me on the spot. Maybe Cameron and I will sort of do a double team.
You're
here.
very good.
Okay.
Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la sélection des films de langue française pour la 40e édition?
C'est le commencement, évidemment, maintenant, parce que nous avons annoncé seulement 2, 3, 4 films aujourd'hui. Le film de Jean-Paul Rappeneau, le film de Julie Delpy. Il y a peut-être un autre.
Catherine Corsini.
Oui, le film de Catherine Corsini.
Oui,
nous aurions peut-être un autre 10 ou 15 films d'annoncer dans les des semaines avant, the next coming weeks, les semaines prochaines. I'm just making this up, guys. It's been a few years, or a few weeks since I've spoken. Mais évidemment, Jean-Paul Rappeneau était ici avec Cyrano de Bergerac. qui ont gagné le film le plus populaire ici à Toronto. Et ce film de Jean-Pierre, c'est une comédie. Et dans le milieu du festival où les films sont peut-être un peu sérieux, n'est-ce pas, un peu artistiques, ce film-là, c'est une comédie très bien fait. Le film de Julie Delpy est aussi une comédie. Et un film de Catherine, c'est...
Corsini, c'est une
film dramatique.
histoire d'amour,
Oui.
en fait.
Mais j'aime le cinéma français beaucoup et pour moi, c'est la raison pour moi d'être ici. Parce que j'ai vu les films français quand j'étais un jeune étudiant, les films de Godard en particulier. Une grande influence sur moi. Pour moi, la sélection française, c'est très important pour le festival. Whoa!
I think that's
it,
that's
right?
it.
Bonjour, merci d'être ici. We'll see you all in September. Actually, we'll all see you, I hope, in a couple of weeks at the Canadian Press Conference, where there's going to be a lot of exciting announcements. Maybe not a couple of weeks. Is it next week?
Next week.
Next week for the
Wednesday.
Canadian announcements. And there'll be a lot more to come out in the coming weeks.
Thank
so thank
you.
you all for coming.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. My name is Pamela Malika. I'm Director of Communications here. I just want to do a couple of quick housekeeping announcements as we wrap up our press conference. Those of you who want to chat with Piers and Cameron, they'll be doing media scrums just outside the cinema. So if you want to make your way out, there'll be people from the communications team there to sort of set everything up. Our media site has a lot of images available for download from the films that we've announced today, so you can log on there, tiff.net/press. There is Wi-Fi in the building. It's TIFF Public, and we have the use of the TIFF Lounge if you want to file your stories here. And don't forget to pick up a press kit with all the information on the way out. Great. Thank you again so much for coming.